Perfect, man.
All right, Max. So, obviously you're about to hit the road with your brother Igor, and it's a pretty special tour for Sepultura fans. And you'll be, celebrating two massive albums, Beneath the Remains from 1989 and Arise from 1991. So, we know why these albums are important to fans, but I'd like to hear why it's important to you guys.
Mostly, there's of course the nostalgic fact that plays into it, but I think on top of everything, they're just fun. It's just like really, really a cool time in music that we captured during these two records, especially these two records. The albums could have been released as one double record, and it would have been fine. They're so similar in so many ways. It's kind of like the era of we were mixing death metal, thrash metal, and hardcore, put it in a blender and see what happens. Kind of like it was just kind of like a laboratory experiment, and it worked. It was like, yes, this is killer. We love it. We cannot get enough. And I think it was the same with the fans. And through the years, these records really resonate with a lot of people, with a lot of bands. I tour with a lot of young bands. They always mention those specific records. So I think it's they're just really fun, awesome records. That's fun to play. And at my time in my career right now, where I get to choose the things I want to be involved with, as much fun as it is going forward with new projects like Killer Be Killed, Soulfly, Go Ahead and Die, it's also very, very much fun going back and revisit the old stuff. And they started with Roots, and the Roots was very, very cool and was a big splash. But I was really, really nothing against Roots. I love Roots. It's a cool record, but that there's a real big part of my heart that really loves these two records. There's just some energy on them, just some rawness on them that is just an amazing experience to play and share that with the fans. We did it in Europe and South America, and it was just incredible. It was like, especially South America, it was like, felt like somebody put me in a time tunnel when I was back in 91. It's like, what's going on? It's like the whole place was headbanging and mosh pitting, and it's like, yes, this is so cool. And me and Igor get to do this. I get to spend some time with him, and the fans love it. We love it. This is the closest to the original as you can get. So yeah, we had this opportunity to do it now together with playing MDF. So we just decided to go for it. My only problem is short. I think a bigger one. I think we're gonna have to part two, because there's pissed off states like Florida. And I seen some of the comments like, "You guys suck. You're not coming to Florida. How dare you?" So we're gonna have to do it. You can't. It's hard to be everywhere at all the time, but we're gonna try. But this one is gonna be a lot of fun. We got some cool players. Mike playing bass, is a killer bass player. Daniel from Possessed playing the leads, just an amazing, phenomenal guitar player. So yeah, we're very much looking forward to this. It's gonna be a great time.
So when you wrote this music, it was, more than 30 years ago, I guess, at this point. And obviously the world was a different place. You were younger and living a different life in many ways. But when you went back to, revisit these albums, maybe think about the lyrics a little bit, have you noticed some of these things that you wrote back then that maybe apply now, whether it's to stuff going on in your home country in Brazil, or even what's going on right now in Ukraine or anything? Have you noticed any wow, this really applies today kind of thing?
Oh yeah, it's quite creepy, actually. Kind of like I really now. What I wrote 30 years ago is more relevant now than it was when I first wrote it, because especially especially Beneath the Remains, is a very anti-war song. It's pretty much um, uh, um, yeah, very much an anti-war theme throughout the whole song, um, with stuff like "Who has won, who has died beneath the remains," pretty much saying, well, what I was trying to say was, in war, really, there's no there's no winners. Everybody loses, because all sides get casualties. This just it's a messed up situation. Um, and even Arise got a little bit of that too. I see the world old, I see the world dead. It's like really, it hits real hard right now with what's going on in the world. Um, Even with other things like dead embryonic cells, the whole technology thing with COVID, you can put it. So it's funny. I was talking to my friend the other day, and I was like, "Man, it's crazy. We metal bands been singing about this COVID shit for 30 years, and the shit came true. We were on to something, and nobody knew. Everyone, a lot of people in the society laugh at metal bands. Like, oh yeah, this shit never gonna happen. Yeah, it did fucking happen, and it's scared the shit out of everybody. So it's how crazy is that? So, but it is. I think it's good to let all those emotions out, whatever they might be. You always felt good to do it through songs. If you have a little bit to say in a song. I was very young when I wrote those records. I think Beneath the Remains, I was probably 19 or 20. And a lot of it was very influenced by translating a lot of the U2's War record. I really enjoyed that, and some COC, some political stuff like Technocracy. I was really into that. Um, COC had a shirt. I remember it was really cool. Tell me who has won when nothing remains. It said that in the back of the shirt, and I always thought that was cool. I think that's very influential to what Beneath the Remains became, with things like that were very influential. But yeah, you can definitely see parallels of what was written then to what's going on now, even more now than more relevant now than when we first wrote it, which is crazy.
You kind of mentioned how people might have been saying, "Oh, these heavy metal guys are crazy. They don't know what they're talking about." And
Right.
a lot of times, especially I think more so in the '80s, people are like, "Oh, those guys are stupid, and they we don't want them coming to our town, and there'd be protests and all that." But if you look at it now, like you could learn actual history lessons from Iron Maiden songs. You could learn about Alexander the Great or something. And like, do you feel there's a lot to be learned, like, from heavy metal music, like that maybe people don't even realize it? You know what I mean?
I think there's both. I mean, music is to entertain. It's to have fun with it, but also can be used as, I guess, some kind of learning. I mean, so many people have told me that they learned so much about Brazil because of our lyrics. Either be stuff on Chaos AD, like manifests about the Brazilian riots, jail riots, or Kaiowas, the tribe that committed suicide, or even Roots. So many people became more interested in Brazilian stuff from those records, which I think is cool. It's a little bit the same as me being wanting to find out more about a specific, wanted to learn about Birmingham or England because of Black Sabbath.
Right.
When I visit Birmingham, I was always in this is where Black Sabbath came from in school, or U2 from Ireland. But so definitely, especially some of the things you mentioned, like Iron Maiden. I love Bruce Dickinson's lyrics. They're cool. Like you can tell he read a lot of books, so he knows what he's talking about. Flight of Icarus, and
Right.
Alexander the Great, and there's but also some of it could be like watching an horror movie. To me, like when I listen to some of the stuff like Cannibal Corpse, or even younger new bands like 200 Stab Wounds. I was reading some of the lyrics. It's cool. It's like watching a horror movie. Of course, they're not doing that stuff. They'll be in jail. They'll be in jail if they did that. All the stuff that they say. But that's a really healthy way to get those feelings out without hurting anybody. I guess what I try to say is like, just like watching a movie, you don't watch a horror movie and go kill somebody. So same with music. You listen, you just get inspired, entertained by what that's providing you. And my lyrics, they're kind of ideal lyrics are mixed with some punk influence. So there's some social political stuff because I grew up with a lot of Dead Kennedys and Bad Brains, Discharge. So there's a lot of political stuff, and there's a certain amount of fantasy also involved in a lot of them, which I think is cool. It's fine. It's spiritual stuff as well. You can just mix all of them together. It just feels great to sing that kind of stuff. It's really powerful. And if I love when you connect with the crowd through the lyrics, there's something about it that's, especially like when we're doing this two records, there's some words that means so many different meanings for me and for the people listening. Desperate Cry, could mean something to me that what the guys listen to means something totally different for him. And that's okay. They're not so black and white. They're actually, there's many interpretations that you can take from those lyrics. And some of my writing was a little bit more direct and more simple, like a simple tone. I never tried to fancy too much because I can't. It would be a failure to try to do that. So it's really to the point. Arise, it's under pale gray sky we shall arise. It's simple, very simple, but catchy, strong, that you sing along with it, and it feels great to internet, all those. So yeah, I mean, I love doing it, man. I love playing. I love singing that with the fans. We're in it together, and especially when it's stuff so old like this, 30 years. It's been brewing and it's been in people's DNA for 30 years. It's really cool. And then the other side, flip side of that, is a lot of young kids that weren't even born when these records come out. They come to the shows and they want to see it, which is really similar to when I first saw Black Sabbath. I was already older. I never got to see Sabbath in their prime. I was a young kid in Brazil in the 70s. So I miss out on that. But I got to see them when we play with them. And I was totally blown away. I understand. This is so cool. I understand why they're so psyched to see this. Because it's very similar to how I felt watching Black Sabbath. It was like, yes, fucking, this is amazing. I can only imagine how the original was, but this is great. I'm loving this.
So you mentioned Black Sabbath. So as your band was getting bigger, you were starting to play with probably some of your heroes here and there. Whether it's a festival or you're opening for them and whatnot. Who are some of the artists you kind of really looked up to that you got to play with and meet, or maybe even become friends with?
Mostly Ozzy is definitely one of them. We end up being invited to his house in England, having dinner there with them. That was, if you would have told the teenage Max Cavalera you're gonna hang out at Ozzy's house and sit in his living room and he was gonna tell you Black Sabbath stories, like, shut the fuck up. You crazy. That's never gonna happen. But it did happen, man. And even funny shit like fucking Lemmy. I remember first time I met Lemmy, it was a little bar in London, and I was starting to bug him. I was a little drunk, like, "Hey man, I'm from Brazil. I mean, this band Seupultura, we love you." And he wanted to like get me to go away, so he dropped his whole whiskey in my head, like, go away now, leave me alone. And I thought that was the coolest thing. I wasn't pissed at him. I was like, dude, I actually in my mind was like, that was my baptism, I was like baptized, like that man just baptized me, man. I'm never washing my hair. One of those metal moments. I came back to the table with the Sepultura guys, like, yeah, smell the whiskey in my head. That's from Lemmy. That's fucking great. And I got to meet other people from even different areas of music. That was really cool. I remember one time we played a big festival in Europe, and Peter Gabriel was on the show, and David Bowie, and they're both sitting in a catering room with everybody, and that fucking blew me away. It's like, they're like us. They're like, they're gods, but they walk around like us, they eat like us, like mingle with everybody. I didn't have the balls to want to bug them, but I was sitting pretty close to their table, so that was pretty cool. It's like, oh shit, yeah, that's Peter Gabriel and Dave Bowie talking right there. That's just so cool. And there was one time also I flew to England to do something, and we got lucky, and we got first class tickets somehow. I don't know, one of those rare occasions, but I was in the lounge and Bono was in the lounge. I was like, fuck, oh shit, it's Bono, man. And I wanted so bad to go say hi or take a picture, but I didn't muster enough courage. It's like totally chicken out. Like, and it's kind of like a regret. I still to today regret not saying hi. It would have been cool, sometimes are not meant to be too. I don't know, but most of the people have been really cool. Most of my idols that I met, all been just amazing, and that makes you like them even more. Like I like Ozzy even more. I like Motorhead even more because of that.
Whenever I've watched any like metal or even hard rock shows, just videos of shows in Brazil, like in Rio, it's like a level of the fans. It seemed like something I can't even believe. Like, I've watched some Iron Maiden stuff, and there's a Rush video from like 20 years ago, Rush in Rio, I think it is. And it's like, what is it about these crowds in Brazil and in South America in general too, where it seems like a different level than Europe and in the US anyway?
Oh yeah, South America. I think maybe it is, well, it used to be back 30 years ago, or 40 years ago, nobody will go there. It'll be one show a year, international. Queen went in 1981. That's when I became rock and rollers. We got to see Queen live at the Game World Tour. Van Halen came, but it was one a year. But when that happened, that was the event of the year, man. People talk about the show for the whole year. So it was not like the US where you have 10 shows at night where you can, like, you have to pick and choose where you're gonna go see. There's too many, there's 5 of your favorite bands playing the same night in your city, and you gotta pick one. It wasn't like that. So I think that made the crowd very hungry and very, I guess they're really just super excited, but I made a comment that kind of pissed off some Brazilian people, because I said Argentina's got the best crowd in South America, because they did. It was, we had some shows that it was just incredible, man. It was like, I've never seen anything like it. They did not stop chanting from an hour before the show to an hour after the show. The level of energy, it's like you don't even need to try to please them. You can play the wrong notes, still be okay. You can play shitty, they'll still gonna be good. Um, and so I remember some Brazilian people were a little bit mad at me, but it was a truthful thing I was saying, because it was like that level of just energy, you know, pure energy. And then you also get the big festivals. You got like Rush playing the big places,
Yeah.
Iron Maiden, all those are all big places. Um, People realize that Brazil and South America in general really loves heavy metal. And it was a kind of unknown factor. It was like nobody knew about this until the first Rock in Rio came out. And then on the first Rock in Rio, because it was 7 nights, and every night was a different kind of music. There's a pop night, there's a jazz night. The heavy metal night was by far the biggest night of the festival. That's when Brazil clicked. The people, even the media was like, oh, okay, Brazil is full of heavy metal people that we didn't knew about it. You know, it's like, it was like a discovery. It's like they realized, oh shit, this country, maybe because it's a poor country, maybe people really need the music for get all those emotions out. I don't know what it is, but they definitely love their metal, man. It's crazy.
Yeah. And then on the other side of things, you know, this is a North American tour. So I wanted to ask about New York specifically. I think you're playing the Gramercy Theater next month. Do you have any particular, you know, memories of New York or any big moments you had there over the years?
Oh yeah, it's been some great shows in New York. My first show in America was actually in New York. Sepultura. Was a place called Zone DK, which was S&M club. After the show, it was all people in bondage and leather and fucking crazy. But yeah, I mean, I remember playing the Ritz in Halloween night with King Diamond.
Wow.
Sepultura, Second Reich. That was a trip. There was like 3,000 people going totally nuts. One of the craziest shows we ever did was actually last year, September. We had the big storm, you know, there was like floods all over. We actually had a flooded dressing room, was all flooded. It was at the Gramercy.
Wow.
Yeah. And we almost didn't make it back. There was no rides, there was no Uber, and we need to go back to New Jersey. That's where our bus was.
Wow.
So finally there was a guy with a van that worked for the Gramercy, like, I'll take you guys. And we drove, and I remember driving and seeing cars completely flooded in the middle of the road with water all the way to the windows, man. Like I'd never seen nothing like that in America, you know. I've seen that in Brazil. I've been to floods in Brazil and Indonesia, but never in New York. So that was a crazy night. And I heard stories about people that got stranded there that night. Yeah, it was a crazy storm. You know, you couldn't tell during the show there was a big storm going on, but when after the show was over, it was like fucking hell on earth, man. But it was a great show. The show was great. I love the New York crowd. They're so excited. Like really, really. Some bands complain about playing the main cities like LA, New York. I love it. London. Some of those are some of the best shows.
I wanted to ask, you know, you have so many different bands going all the time, which is really cool. And I think I read Soulfly. You guys, are you like finished with your album, or where are you at with that?
Yeah, it's coming out in August. We're finishing the touches right now on it, but it's pretty much done, completed. But yeah, you know, it's coming out in August 5th, which is the day after my birthday.
Oh, great.
So that's awesome. Yeah, our 12th record. It's crazy. 12 albums. That's insane. But I'm very excited for it, man. I think a lot of people are gonna dig the record. We already played songs on the last tour for the fans. Yeah, it's we throughout the last 3 years worked very hard on this record. So I'm very excited for it to come out August.
What about Cavalera Conspiracy? Do you have anything coming with that project?
Well, that's the thing about it. It was because we're doing these tours, we're playing the old stuff we're a little bit more focused on that right now. But eventually, I'll get together with him and make some new music. You know,
Yeah.
I still got Go Ahead and Die that I'm working on it.
Right.
Killer Be Killed. All those are very, very much active projects that I like to spend time with it sometime. But right now, just all the attention is focused on this tour. Let's get this tour done, rolling, and see what comes next. You know.
Are you obviously you like to have a lot of projects going, but I was also wondering, does, some artists, they only focus on their old material, and they don't have new songs. They're not going to play new stuff when you go see them live, but you're focusing on old stuff now, but you have all these other things going. Is that the way, does it kind of like, do you like that contrast? Like you're able to enjoy the stuff that's 30 years old, but on the other hand, in a few months, you might be moving on from that and working on stuff that's, super brand new.
Yeah, I actually love that, because I think one influences the other in a really weird way. I get influenced by old records, so that becomes new again. You can listen to Arise and get a lot of influence from that to what you're doing right now with Soulfly and put that in it. Yeah, I just love doing all of it, man. It's all music, and it's all fun, and it's so cool to be part of so many different eras of music through the years, and I get to go back and revisit some of them. But in the meantime, like I say, I have a new record coming out in August after this tour, so I'm definitely going to be really, really fired up for that whenever that comes out.
Are you planning a tour for that one too? Do you think you'll be, in the States at some point with Soulfly for that?
For sure. Yeah, we always hit it hard when the record comes out.
Yeah.
It will be definitely try to, especially now that COVID is more under control and more bands are playing and people are coming back, for sure. We got to be done.
Yeah. Max, that's really the questions I have, but was there anything else you wanted to mention about this tour or anything else?
Thank you, man. I think we covered, man. Appreciate the support.
Absolutely.
I hope to see all the fans in New York. It's going to be a great night, great metal night for the ages. Thanks for talking to me, man.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Gramercy Theater. I remember the first I heard Sepultura was on Headbangers Ball. I was like 14 years old, and it was
right. Yeah.
So much great music. I remember Seasons in the Abyss was out like early 90s, and this stuff, I had to listen to it real quiet because if my mother heard it in the other room, she'd go nuts. Like I remember I was watching Holy Wars once by Megadeth, and she walked in and thought, I don't know what she thought, but I turned out, I guess, somewhat okay. But looking forward to Gramercy Theater. That's going to be fun.
Hell yeah, man. Nice talking to you, brother.
All right. Thanks, Max.
All right, man.
All right. Bye.